Steam fogs the kitchen window. Your phone lights up. Direct deposit received. The number sits there, $2,180. You glance at it. Once feel that small lift in your chest, then go back to pouring your coffee. Somewhere behind that glance, a decision's already being made about where it's going, one you didn't actually sit down and make. By the time you're dressed, it's already started spending itself. By the time you're pulling into the lot at 8:52, the $2,180 already has a life of its own. Rent has already spoken for it. Rent's already spoken for it. So has the Discover card. So has the thing you've been telling yourself you'll pay off this month. You haven't opened your banking app since 6:47. You don't need to. You already know the number is smaller than it was an hour ago, even though nothing has actually left your account yet. That's the strange part. Nobody tells you about payday. The money starts disappearing before it's gone. You cut the engine and sit there for a second coffee, sweating a ring onto the cup holder. That's when Casey Boudreau swings into the space 2 down from you in a Rivian R1S adventure. Casey works 2 desks over from you. Same title, same pay grade, probably give or take a few thousand. You wonder how. You don't wonder long. You've got a meeting at 9 o'clock. Inside the day moves the way it always does. Someone brings donuts to the break room and you grab one without thinking. At lunch, you order the usual from the taco place on the corner. Tap your card. Don't look at the total. It's fine. It's always fine. It's only at the end of the day, waiting at the light on your drive home, that you finally open the app. You stare at it a second longer than you mean to. Not because the number is wrong, because you can't actually account for where $733 of it went. Rent hasn't even pulled yet. It's not one bad decision. It's not the donut or the tacos or the coffee. It's that the second the deposit hit, your brain had already spent it, filed it away as available before you'd made a single choice about it. Financial people have a name for that. You don't need the name. You just need to notice that it's true. That somewhere between the buzz on your leg at 6:47 and the light turning green right now, the money stopped feeling like yours and started feeling like something that was already leaving. You're not alone in this, even if it feels like it. Most of the people you know are running the same math in their heads in break rooms and parking lots next to somebody else's Rivian. Nobody talks about it. Everybody's doing it anyway. The light turns green. You drive home with $1,406.52 in an account that started the day at $2,140.18, and no real memory of deciding to spend the difference. Which means the real question was never how much you make. It's what you're actually spending it on. For the first time, you stop looking at how much money is left and start looking at where it actually went. That's the moment everything begins to change. The problem wasn't your income anymore. It was the invisible pattern. Small purchases kept repeating until they quietly became your biggest monthly expense. That was the moment he realized something important. Financial freedom doesn't begin with earning more. It begins with understanding where every dollar goes. Awareness is always the first step toward taking control of your money. He started separating every expense into 2 simple categories: things he truly needed and everything else. Because once you can clearly see the difference, making smarter financial decisions becomes much easier. Your phone buzzes. Your sister Renee Castellano sends a photo from a hike captioned something like, "Best decision I ever made moving out here." You like the photo and go back to the spreadsheet you've started. 2 columns, nothing fancy. One side you're calling needs the other. You're calling everything else. It sounded simple when you typed the headers. It stopped being simple about 4 transactions in. Rent is easy. $1,510 a month, same as it's been, and it goes in needs without a second thought. Groceries, also easy. Then you hit the first subscription, the streaming service you added during a slow week 2 winters ago, and you sit with your cursor over it for a second before you move it quietly into everything else. Then the next one. Then the one after that. By the time you're done, you're staring at 6 of them. $63.96 total for shows you can name maybe 2 of. It's not just the subscriptions. It's the $14 lunch you grabbed twice this week because the fridge was empty and you didn't feel like thinking about it. It's the ride you took home from Renee's going away dinner instead of the 15-minute walk because it was raining and you didn't want to deal with it. None of it on its own looks like anything. That's what makes it hard to see. A 5 here, a 12. They're never big enough by by itself to notice until you add a whole month of them side by side and the number staring back at you is real. You do the math you didn't want to do. Rent, groceries, utilities, the actual bare cost of staying alive and housed it comes out to a little under half of what lands in your account each pay period. You exhale and it surprises you how much that one number changes the shape of everything else, because now you know the other half isn't disappearing into thin air. It's going somewhere you can actually name. Every expense now has a name, and that's the moment money stops controlling you and you start controlling it. You don't delete anything yet. You just sit there looking at the two columns, feeling something between embarrassment and relief. Embarrassment that it took a spreadsheet to see something this obvious. Relief that it wasn't actually a mystery after all. It was never really about how much you make. Casey's Rivian isn't the problem. The problem was that you'd never once drawn the line between what keeps the lights on and what doesn't. You close the laptop, but the number stays with you the rest of the day. The quiet, unglamorous truth that everything you need costs less than half of what you earn, which means the other half was always supposed to be doing something. You just hadn't decided what yet. Building your safety net, the shield. 3 weeks later, your car makes a sound it's never made before. You already know how this goes. You've seen the movie. Something breaks. The number is bigger than you expected. You spend the next 2 months paying it off a little at a time on a card that's charging you close to 22% for the privilege. The guy at the shop, a soft-spoken mechanic named Dale Whitfield, who's worked on your car for years, comes out wiping his hands on a rag and says the word rotors like it's nothing. Then he says the number $410. You brace for the familiar feeling, that specific kind of dread. You start doing the math about which bill moves, which card absorbs it, what you tell yourself to make it feel okay. Except this time, the dread doesn't come. You open your banking app right there in the waiting room, and there it is sitting quietly in a high-yield savings account you opened 3 weeks ago and almost forgot about. You transfer $410 out Paydale and drive home on brakes that don't grind anymore. That's it. That's the whole moment. It didn't feel like much when you started it. The account had been sitting there with $0 in it for years. This vague someday fund you kept meaning to open until the Saturday after you did the spreadsheet. You'd moved $200 into it that day, almost embarrassed by how small it was. You knew roughly what it was supposed to become, enough to cover 3 to 6 months of the number you'd already found. You weren't there yet. You weren't close. But $200 felt like a decision instead of a hope, which was different from anything you'd done with money before. It's not lost on you that more than half of people in this country couldn't have covered that $410 without putting it on a card or borrowing it from someone, not because they don't make enough, because nobody ever taught them that money sitting still can protect your future. Money isn't just something you spend. It's something that quietly stands between you and chaos. The paycheck was never the hero. The habit was, because every month after that, before you touched a single dollar, your future got paid first. The amount didn't matter as much as the order. Future first, present second. Financial freedom isn't built in a single day. It's built by repeating the right decisions every single month. The biggest financial wins don't come from one perfect decision. They come from small habits repeated every single month. Save first. Pay your bills on time. Track your spending. Review your progress. Over time, those simple actions quietly build real wealth. Now, budgeting no longer feels like work. It's simply part of his routine. Every bill is paid, his savings keep growing, and each month brings him one step closer to financial freedom. That's the power of repeating the right habits. You stopped trying to feel rich. You started trying to become financially secure. The strange thing is that nothing about your income changed. Only your priorities did. You still drive the same car. You still live in the same apartment. But now, when life surprises you, you don't panic, because panic comes from uncertainty, and uncertainty disappears when you've prepared for it. The emergency fund wasn't really about the money. It was about buying yourself time to think instead of time to panic. It bought you the ability to say, "Give me a day to figure this out," instead of "I need a loan by tonight." That's what people mean when they say money buys freedom. Not yachts, not watches, time, options, breathing room. And the funny thing is, it all started with a spreadsheet and one uncomfortable Saturday afternoon. You didn't become disciplined because you were motivated. You became disciplined because you got tired of feeling anxious every payday. You didn't need a raise. You needed a system that worked even when life didn't. Financial freedom isn't waking up rich one morning. It's waking up without fear, because wealth isn't measured by what you can buy. It's measured by how long you can breathe if your paycheck disappears.